Good morning. Here we go again. Here we go again. It's Friday. We made it. Good morning, Gun. How are you? Yes, you as well, man. Have a nice day. Are you just popping in to say hello and then popping out? Which is totally cool. Totally fine. It's good to see you. Good to have you here. All right, what are we going to do today? I think we're going to keep working on our agent today. It's going to be so much fun. That's right, just to say hello, because a lot of meetings on which I have to attend. Oh man, meetings. No. On a Friday? Dude. Didn't they get the memo? It's Friday. We don't fucking work on Fridays. Oh yeah. I feel you, man. I wish I had more time too. 36 hours probably would be perfect. If you could like take the existing day and then tack on like 8, I would be happy. You know? Like I feel like if you could just take sleep, the hours we're supposed to be sleeping, and just tack that on, that'd be nice. What are you gonna do though, right? What are you gonna do? Ah, such is life. We do. Just waiting for an email that prod crashed on 5 p.m. Oh man, those are the worst Fridays. Or people want to try to deploy on a Friday. I never understand why people would get the idea in their head of like, you know what we should do? We should, we're in a hurry. We need to really push this out before everybody turns it off for the weekend. So dumb. So dumb. All right, what are we doing here? So we are back. So right now what we have going on, right, is we have the ability to have a researcher pass its message to a writer. Is basically where we're at with this whole agentic workflow thing. So I think before we get into the nitty gritty of like prompting the LLM, I think I just want to get everything wired up so that it works like I've drawn it out. Not that my drawing's any good. Yeah, exactly on the sleep topic would be nice. It would be nice. Yeah, you could do everything you've always wanted to do in 24 hours and still get your sleep. So you don't die of an early death. Let's see. Okay, so we just need I think what I want to try to do now is I want to try to wire up a conditional edge that says So writer goes to editor. If editor returns remarks, send it back to the writer. If the editor doesn't return remarks, send it on to the critic. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. But at this point, we can do something like .NET run. Project. Oops. Source. And hopefully that still works. Yep, perfect. Perfect. Let's add another one here. Let's make an editor, edit, make an editor, and then our editor, internal editor. There's an extra syllable in there when I say it. I tell you what, 4 a.m. came early again today. Actually, today I had to be woken up by my alarm. The last 4 days, I've been up before 4 a.m. But today I got woken up by my alarm. Excuse me. I gotta get this caffeine flowing. Maybe we do need some different music other than lo-fi music if we're gonna do early morning streams. Although I do like lo-fi music. Reflecting executor. There's Copilot. Although that was 100% right. And I appreciate you trying to help me, Copilot. Did I not just turn that off? Copilot disable, not enable. I did use Copilot yesterday. I tried out. So Copilot introduced this new feature on GitHub, and I hadn't tried it yet. So I think I told you guys yesterday that I've been using one of my favorite features that I pay for Copilot is the PR reviews, like being able to do a pull request review, which is great. But I did use it yesterday to run like a task. Hey, what's up, RS? How are you doing? They have these things now called like agent tasks, is what they're calling them, I think. See if I can find it. Yeah, there's a place on their GUI that's called agent tasks. And I was at my son's football practice, and I was like, you know what? Let me try this out. You know, because like, let's see if this thing can fix something for me while I sit here in my lawn chair and watch football practice. And it actually did. It actually worked pretty dang well. So I had this one little fix that I needed to make, or actually two fixes, I guess. There's actually two places where I needed to basically make sure that strings, like basically this is a string, but I don't have control over it. It's something the user is giving me. I needed to make sure that these strings got escaped for markup, because this text that goes in here prints to the console as markup. So if you have illegal characters in your if you have certain characters in there, it'll break everything essentially. And so I assigned Copilot. So the way this works is you go to your task, and somehow you pick who this is assigned to, and you assign it to this user, Copilot SWE agent. And then he will come along, and he basically, the way this works, this is kind of since we're talking about agents and I'm trying to build my own, just kind of cool to look at how GitHub implemented it. So you tag them, it comes along, it leaves an emoji here, then it opens a PR, and initially the comment here in the PR is basically something to the effect of like, I got your request, thanks for assigning it to me, I'll work on it. And then basically there must be some prompting that's happening where they must be sending a prompt to whatever model they're using under the hood with some context about the issue, the repo, you know what I mean? They send that over, and then the Copilot builds like a plan, and so it updates the PR with this checklist, right? So I'm guessing this is kind of that chain of thought, planner orchestration approach. And then it basically goes through and it just starts trying to execute each item. It's kind of interesting. Then once it does it, it summarizes what it does, so it updates the PR again. And then it will request, where is it? It'll request you to come in and review it. In which case you can do a regular old PR review on GitHub. And then what you can do is you can go through and drop comments in there. And then in order to get Copilot to do something about your comment, you tag it again. So you tag Copilot again in your comment. And then that process just repeats. So it's kind of interesting. And so I was able to basically implement these changes while sitting at football practice and merge them in. So this is another pretty cool feature. Like, I would guess for bigger, more complex changes, this could be more difficult, right? And you probably might have to intercede more, right? Like, you might have to pull the branch down locally and make some more significant changes, or maybe your comments there would be a lot more comments here. But I think this is an interesting, like, I don't want to only work this way, but I think it's an interesting tool to have in my back pocket. You know, I want to get something done. I'm not really in the right place to do the work. Well, let's see at the very least, let's see if Copilot can like get it started for me, and so that when I get back to the house, I can finish it up. Especially for small, like, several line changes like this, it was kind of cool. So yeah, so very, very much, I think another reason very much worth paying for Copilot. I'm sure it uses a lot of requests, but it was fun to try out. I hadn't tried it out, so that was a lot of fun. RS, good man, you're crushing it today. I'm not sure I'm crushing it. I still have a full thing of coffee here that I still need to drink, so we won't know until we get some actual caffeine flowing if we're crushing it or not. All right, back to my agent now. Now that I did a free ad for Copilot, I guess I need to call GitHub, see if they want to sponsor my stream. This is going to be name of editor. And then I think I'm just going to copy that same public static editor from, and then I'm going to do executor option. No, not executor options. I chat client. That. And I probably actually need to add the options object here, honestly. So this actually would be an interesting case for source generation. Like, if you wanted to have a from method on every particular type of class, you could probably use source generation to just add it instead of having to manually implement it every time. Yeah, just gotta give Billy a call. Who's Billy? Oh, Billy. Is Billy like a GitHub person? I completely forgot what I said before you said that. Yeah, let's see, Billy? Who's Billy? Billy? GitHub. Oh, that RS. I'm sorry, RS. I'm so dumb. That went like right over my head. Yeah, I need to. I get or Satya, right? Satya Nadella. He's the one that's in the. Which did you guys see? They're mandating return to office now 3 days a week. They actually. Oh, I guess two interesting things there. First is that Microsoft is mandating return to office starting February 2026. The reason I found out about this, um, this happened earlier this month and I just missed it, or at least I didn't see anybody report about it. So they posted a blog post at the beginning, of I guess last month. Oh, but the reason I found out about it was I saw um, Damian Edwards. I follow him on Blue Sky. This guy right here. Where'd he go? Right here. And he was talking about, what was he talking about? He was talking about his computer. Where did it go? Like, I can't find the post, but he was basically saying something like he's basically building a computer for his office setup. RS Microsoft owns GitHub. Yes, yeah, I knew that. I just completely, I didn't, when you said Billy, I wasn't thinking of Bill Gates. There it is. Here's the tweet. He says, with RTO now confirmed, I'm researching a desktop setup for the office. And I was like, what? RTO? And yeah, I mean, I can't believe that. They're gonna phase it out in three approaches. So if you're in the Puget Sound area, you have till the end of February, and then they're gonna roll it out to all other U.S. locations. Now, I'm not a Microsoft employee, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. I get nervous the more and more big companies start to do these things. The more and more it gives other people the justification, other managers, other leaders, the justification to do the same at their workplaces. And as somebody who very much enjoys remote work, I'm just like holding my breath. Please, nobody make me go back. Google funny Bill Gates pic, sometimes pure gold. I like to use them for my profile pic. Coworker and I had an ongoing war where we changed desktop pic to Billy. Oh, that's great. My favorite. Let's see, funny Bill Gates pics.
This seems to be a fragmented and somewhat unclear request.
Jim and I thought I was talking to him. I've got my phone plugged in over here. All of a sudden, Jim and I started talking to me. My favorite Microsoft moment is the Windows 95 launch. I was 3 years old when this happened, but man, is it funny. I can just imagine their wives. Like, if I was up on stage like this and my wife was in the crowd or saw it, I would never. Or if my brother saw this, dude, I would never hear the fucking end of it. He would bust my balls until the day I died. Developers. There's some where he's in a wig or peeping around a corner. Bill Gates wig. This one? That one's pretty funny. I mean, to be completely transparent, I'm actually a pretty big Bill Gates fan. I know there's some controversy sort of surrounding him, but in terms of his philanthropy, kind of his ruthless obsession and dedication to the business he built in Microsoft, there are things about Bill Gates that I admire. But obviously somebody in a wig is funny. Did I lose my place? I think I lost my place. Oh, new MCP release. Let's go. actually there was actually a really interesting release. They just it's interesting. I like reading the release notes for stuff, especially the stuff that has to do with AI related things, because especially AI related products. Let me see if I can find it. Because you can actually learn quite a bit, because these guys are actually working through these problems at pretty large scales. And so hearing their struggle, looking at the changes they're making to deal with struggles they have, um, where did it go? Huh, where did it go? I thought this was like in the last release I read this. They basically they were having issues. Okay, this is it right here. This is it. They basically were having issues with um basically providing too many tools to the LLM. That's basically the issue they were having. Basically, their MCP server had gotten to the point where it was exposing. Hello, Ty. Thanks for subbing, man. I appreciate you. Lucky Alade. Good morning. First time joining your stream. Well, Lucky Alade, it's good to have you. We appreciate you having in here. Good to see you. They actually had it's very interesting, because they were talking about basically the age-old problem of their MCP server, when you hook it up to a client, exposes too much functionality by default. And so then obviously the context window, they talk about the context window gets consumed by a lot of tool usage, and then the LLM struggles to figure out what the hell to do with all the tools that you've given it. And so they talk about how they addressed that and what they did, and they basically just changed the default so that it only uses like the most used tools based on data. But I think it's interesting, because it does show that there is a very real world problem with the MCP server approach, right? Because you're gonna, at some point, your MCP server just has too much functionality in it for the LLM really to make use of it. And if you start hooking up more than one MCP server to a client, right? You hook up 5 or 6 MCP servers, and you just compound this issue. Which is why I said this. I said this yesterday on Blue Sky. I don't think anybody saw it, obviously, because I have like 0 followers over there. But I said this yesterday. I don't know if anybody agrees with me, but like, it's why agents, I think conceptually, they're largely like equivalents to folders, right? They're an organizational concept. They are. We can't stuff all the prompt. We can't stuff all these instructions into the context window, and we can't put all the tools we want the AI to know about into the context window. So how do we organize things and orchestrate things to get around that? And so it's like, well, we'll just create like a folder, which is an agent that will hold specific prompts and tools, and then that can hold specific prompt that can hold other agents, right? It's like we just created this like tree hierarchy for ourselves. I mean, or I guess you can wire it together like a graph. It doesn't have to be just a tree, but it's interesting. But yeah, just I don't know. Maybe that's a tip for you guys. I always stop for a moment and try to read these release notes and stuff. I know the GitHub Explore page is kind of like, what the hell is this feed for? But that's kind of how I use it. Or I guess one of the ways I use it. Rewalk. What did I stumble into? You stumbled into a man sitting in his basement in Kansas, Kansas City, Kansas, drinking coffee, trying to get his day started, writing code, and talking to you guys. That's where you found yourself. Fun fact, the icon outline for contacts on Windows is actually Bill Gates' mugshot. Are you serious? RS, do you do backend dev? And no, that's not a setup for a Billy joke. Are you serious? Is that a real thing? Bill Gates contact mugshot. Used by Microsoft as the outline for its default profile picture. That's hilarious. I can't believe I never knew that before. That's very cool and very funny. In terms of your backend dev question, I do backend development. Like I build backends as part of like what I do here, making content, building software outside of work. At work though, I don't work on our backend. Well, I guess I at sometimes I've gotten started the process of adding like a proper test suite to our backend, but I don't actually contribute like production code to our backend. At work, my day job, for those of you that might want to connect with me, you can go to https linkedin.stevenfreeborn.com if you want to check out my kind of my professional history, or if you want to just kind of creep on like who is this guy and what does he do for work, or what has he done for work. Currently, I'm a quality engineer, so I do a lot of automated testing and a lot of manual testing. Excuse me. RS, can you make the argument for the use of MCP servers over APIs? I think you can in a lot of cases. You know, functionally, a lot of these MCP servers are they're just an API for LLMs, right? I mean, what is an MCP client? Thanks for the sub, man. I appreciate you. What are the like what is an MCP client other than something that proxies requests for you to some LLM? So if you bake it down to that, I know it's a little bit more complicated than that, but if you bake it down to that, like most MCP client, that's what it's doing. It's facilitating some interaction with a large language model. So that means that functionally the MCP servers are functionally equivalent to an API for LLMs, right? I think though that using MCP over an API for LLMs makes sense, right? Because it's kind of a standardized way to do things. But I don't necessarily think that you should start using MCPs for everything, right? MCPs are specifically built to help make reusable pieces of functionality so that clients and servers can share their functionalities and very quickly iterate and build things that interact and make use of LLMs. But at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, conceptually, that's what they are. They are an API for an LLM. I just think each one has its own use case, right? So a lot. It's just like with the GitHub MCP, right? GitHub has an existing API. The GitHub API, right? And historically, this has serviced a very particular customer. It was built for developers building integrations, right? And so in that case, they really didn't have LLMs in mind when they designed and built this. So you just wrap an MCP around it with the intention of it being used by a large language model. And now you can sort of craft it so that it is beneficial and useful and has all the right information that an LLM would need to make use of the API, right? But it doesn't. The MCP server doesn't get you around all the inherent problems with an LLM, like the GitHub team just talked about in that discussion issue, where you still have this issue of too many tools, right? So that's a problem that somebody's going to have to solve. Either they're going to have to make better models, or we're going to have to find a better way to organize tools. AB squared. Why the numbers so wonky? What numbers? I'm not sure I follow there. When I heard about MCP, I just thought they were APIs for non-devs, so I've never bothered. Yeah, that's essentially what they are. 100%. My agents use APIs. I yet to hear a good reason to dive into MCP. Oh, I don't think there's anything wrong with agents using APIs versus MCPs. The value of, hey, what's up, Gun? Your meeting got canceled. Let's go. Canceled meetings are the best meetings. Yeah, I think that the reason to dive into MCP is if you want to get into that ecosystem, right? Like if you want to be able to allow LLMs to interact with your service, right? Let's say you have a service like GitHub, or you have a service like Salesforce, or something like that, and you don't want to have to build a bespoke set of endpoints or a bespoke API for all your different clients or customers who want to integrate agent functionality into your third party. MCP is really nice because you can build this thing once, and it's built against a common standard, and then other people can just build clients that call that server, right? It's the reusability, it's the standardization. That's the value of it. There's nothing you get from an MCP that you couldn't recreate in a REST API other than that standardization. Yeah, it's Friday. It's Friday. Our meetings got canceled. We've got code. It's gonna be a good day. Is the hype just a lower barrier of implementation given the increase in vibe coders? I don't think an MCP is any lower of a barrier to entry, because when you implement an MCP server, you're gonna call some underlying API, right? You're gonna call something. And so if you're calling the file system, great. If you're calling an actual REST API over the network, that's fine. So you still have to have the chops to code, right? To build things. It's really the interoperability. That's the value. Is if you like RS, for example, or for me, let's use me as an example. If I built an MCP server to talk to I actually did. I built an MCP server to talk to my company's API. We actually did this on stream. Let's see, Onyx. We used the TypeScript library. So since I built this MCP server, now any compliant MCP client can use it, right? Like you can tie it to Claude Code, to VS Code, to OpenAI's app. So now I didn't have to do bespoke implementations. It just works because their client is compliant and my server is compliant. We just stick them together, and it works. So it's really that. It's the contract. That's the value. In any protocol, TCP, that's the contract is what's valuable. Both two parties agreeing to talk and speak in a certain way means they can both develop independently and trust that their shit's gonna play nice when they actually integrate things. Hey, what's up, Kajani? Man, it's been a long time. My man, I got pneumonia. Oh, that sucks, dude. I'm really sorry about that. Pneumonia is the worst. Been on antibiotics, doing all right. Those pretty much gone. Well, good. Yeah, antibiotics, man. Those things. God, half of us would be dead if it wasn't for antibiotics, man. Modern medicine is wonderful. RS, but that's what an API does. Yes, but you have to implement the client code. You know what I mean? Versus the MCP, you don't. You just wrap your shit and it works. Like you literally just define these tools, and there's a common schema, common protocol. But if you're just exposing REST API endpoints, there's no way for a client to just generically know how to call your endpoint out of the box, right? Because every REST, as we all know from working with APIs, everybody's API is different and everybody adheres to a little bit different standards. And some people use a put and some people use a post and some people try to be very idiomatic with their REST API. Some people don't give a shit. Some people will return 200 for everything with an error message in the body. So it's that kind of stuff that APIs just don't make it as clean to be able to build clients against just a bunch of random companies' APIs. We build clients against a protocol, and we force the API companies to implement something against that protocol. And the level of effort to implement an MCP server is pretty low if you already have REST API endpoints. Then it just is pretty much a thin wrapper in a lot of cases. But yeah, that's the value of it. Oh yeah. Chuck Woot. I'm sorry, Chuck. I don't mean to mispronounce your name. I do mean TCP/IP. TCP over Internet Protocol. That's what I meant. I apologize. I misspoke. I think I said TCI/IP or something like that. I can't remember what I said, but that's what I meant. I meant like the protocol, right? It's the ability to have something that we can all build against. And if one of us fucks something up, we can both look at it and be like, nope, you didn't implement that right. You broke the contract here. I didn't break the contract. So it's that shit, like a shared sense of reality. Fisto, APIs, application programming interface. Yes, but APIs are confusing because a lot of times in today's world, especially if you're in the web development world, when someone says API, they typically are referring to something like a company's REST API that exposes endpoints that they make HTTP calls to. That's what, like, the majority of people who say API, that's what they're referring to. But an API doesn't just have to be a REST API that returns JSON, right? Like, API can refer to like the Zod API, right? Like, it can refer to like the interface that a library exposes to you in your code. So that's it can be kind of confusing with the way people speak about it. Um, yeah. Chuck, yeah, what you working on? So we are working on trying to learn about this new AI framework from Microsoft called Agent Framework. And as a part of learning about it, I am trying to implement an agent to help me with my blog, specifically to help me craft content for my blog. So we're kind of trying to kill two birds with one stone. One, build a helpful piece of software for myself, but also to learn this new library that came out last week. Sure, I could see the appeal. I've been web scraping via reverse engineering for so long, I suppose it's just kind of natural to peel back an API. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. It's totally fair. I guess my point is like what you're saying is 100% true. Like, what you can accomplish everything you're accomplishing with an MCP server without an MCP server. It's just the ability to build and iterate against a shared protocol makes everything, you can develop everything much quicker and much more independently and not worry about issues when you actually try to integrate technologies. Fisto, copy that. Cool. Thank you, man. I'm new to this. Think I found a viable resource. Well, wonderful. Yeah, man. Yeah, the API thing is, I deal with this at work because people want to use API to they basically want to use APIs all the time to refer to the thing that you call. And in common vernacular, that's 9 times out of 10. If someone says, yeah, I'm talking to an API, what they mean is they're sending an HTTP request to some endpoint to get some data or to transform some data or take some sort of action. But it doesn't have to be that narrow of a term. The only thing that helps you write your blog is the coffee. So what you're saying is I need to figure out how to build an agent that makes me coffee. Is that what I'd be all for that, man. Could you imagine having a humanoid robot in your house that just does shit for you, does the dishes, cooks you dinner? It'd be pretty baller. Hey, what's up, Jason? If and something, I don't know what you're saying, Jason, but good to have you here, man. Lovely, bro. Do you need a UI UX designer, man? I've been searching for a project for a long time. At this point, this is just purely going to live on the CLI. So right now, it basically just lives here. So I can do .NET, run. And this was probably where I usually almost start all my stuff on the console. And then I only really evolve it into a GUI if I think I need it. And at this point, I'm not sure. So if you want to, Chuck, if you want to join my Discord, you don't have to. There's no pressure. I don't mind. That's just the best place to find me away from stream. So as I build this, and if we decide to turn it into a GUI, I'd love for someone to throw together a design for it. We just haven't reached that part. Let's see. I'm subscribed, my man. Look forward to learning from you and others. Well, I appreciate it, Fee. So wish you all the best, man, with your journey. If you're just getting into learning to code, I hope it goes well. UI, UX, what framework / lang are you proficient with? UI, UX? So I mostly do web development. So I'm proficient with CSS, HTML, JavaScript primarily. I can use Vue, React. I'm pretty confident I could do any of the other libraries, Svelte, any of the other frameworks. I could figure them out. I just don't have as much experience. But React and Vue, I've written quite a bit in. Blazor, which is Microsoft's component framework, done quite a bit with that. There's something to be said about good old vanilla CSS and HTML and JavaScript. That it's fun to work in that sometimes. Just simplifies your life a ton. As far as I've used Tailwind. So as far as CSS, if you guys are curious about that, because I know that's a pretty big popular thing now, is to use some sort of utility first framework for styling and web development. So I've used Tailwind and Bootstrap are the two that I've used. 9 times out of 10, I usually just write vanilla CSS. Honestly, I don't mind it. I like it. I enjoy it. I've learned a lot from watching a guy named Kevin Powell on YouTube, and so I feel like just writing vanilla CSS gets me to where I need to go half the time. But if you're on a team, if you're working with more than one developer, I really do see the value in having things like Tailwind and Bootstrap, because if you have 10 developers, the odds are someone's going to write some card class 10 times over before anybody realizes they've done it. Fisa, what's your Discord, homie? It's literally that link I just posted above. If you go to discord.stephenfreeborn.com, you can find my Discord invite. Actually, if you're ever curious about any of my social stuff, for the vast majority of them, if you just type social, whatever the name of the social is, .stephenfreeborn.com, you'll get to the right place. I've set up a lot of vanity URLs for most of them, at least for places that I care to be. Chuck, please. I'll love that too. Yeah, of course, Chuck. Yeah, hang around, man. Your Discord link is not clickable. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, try just typing into your browser discord.stephenfreeborn.com. I tried to keep it simple. I actually just got a new domain that I'm going to try to get set up so that the social links are a little bit more succinct. But the URL is, I was trying to find a clever URL that I could use to spell my name, and I ended up with this is the domain I ended up with, steva.nz. There was no other top level domain that I could use. I was basically looking at all these top level domains and was like, how can I use that to spell my name? And this was the closest I could get. So now I'm gonna refer to it as Stevens. But yeah, so I think it would be nice to have something like Stevens YouTube, right? Something short and succinct like that for sharing links, or Steva.nzs, I can spell my name, nz/GitHub. Like those would be nice, I think. You can never have too many domains. RS, I was directing that question to Chuck, but the username is a beast to type. Oh, yeah. Sorry, RS, I didn't realize that. That's my bad. I just assumed you were talking to me. That's very. What's the word? Inflated of me to assume you're talking to me. All right. Well, while you guys sort that out, I'm gonna go back to implementing my editor here. So for now, the editor is going to take. This is going to be an iMessage handler of string, and we can implement that interface. And in this case, we're just going to say return. Await context.yield received message like that. Oh, actually, I don't even need to accept a oh, this needs to be async. Oh, and then we need to forward the cancellation token. Okay, so let's hook that up now. If we come back to writer, and now writer needs to return a string. We're just, all of this is just to gotta forward the cancellation token. I tell you what, that is one of the problems with async in .NET. It's one of the problems with async in any language is the minute you make a method async, right? Everything else has to be async. So you get used to typing await async a lot. Why is this complaining? Researcher does not implement interface iMessage message. Da, 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 da. Oh, that's because it renamed it. Let's go back to our program. So we'll add another edge here. So instead of with output from writer, it'll be with output from editor. And then we need to create our editor. Var editor equals editor from chat client. And then we're going to add a new edge. So add edge from writer to editor. That. So to begin with, my workflow is pretty sequential. It's going to go researcher, writer, editor, right? So let's try to see if that all works now. So .NET run -- project source. Yeah, I think that worked. Yep, that worked. So our reserve patches to a writer, and then we get our workflow event output, which is coming from our editor. Now we need to add our conditional edge. So if our editor decides, so we need some way for our editor to say, hey man, what you gave me here is good, but it's not good enough. You need to work on your shit. It's not good. So we need some way in here to add a conditional edge that says, basically an edge that says editor goes to writer, but only if a certain condition is met. So this is where we should be able to do some sort of conditional edge. And they have an example for this in their docs. .NET samples. I love it when repos have really good examples in them. I know it takes time to write samples for the code you write, you know, and I know a lot of times your test can double as samples, but it's really helpful if you spend the time to really think through the way your code will be used in your client code, in the caller code. I think it's a lot. It adds I think it adds a lot of value to your users, right? But I also think it adds a lot of value to you as the person developing the code, because if you actually sit down and think through how someone's going to call it, right? It 9 times out of 10 leads to a better design, in my opinion. Let's see, edge condition. So we can basically say condition, and then this is a method they implemented, which basically said, what does this thing say? Get condition. It says, if detection result interesting. So this returns a func of object. Well, so this must be the signature of that lambda that we pass in. So if we look at our signature here, this would be object and then bool result or something like that. Is that what that is? Cannot convert lambda expression to type bool because it's a delegate type. Okay, then I don't need to go look at the. We need to look at the definition of this add edge. It's got an overloaded method, I think, that takes a cursor position outside buffer. What? I've angered the NeoVim. Why is this angry? When in doubt, restart. Thanks, RS, for encouraging people to like the stream. That's very kind of you. Mohammed, good to see you, man. How are you? Oh, are you guys trying to join the Discord? Hold on, if you guys join the Discord, I'll prove you right away. Give me 1 sec. I'm proving you now. Sorry. I didn't mean to stop the momentum you guys had. There we go. You're both in, man. You're both in. Sorry about that. I wasn't paying attention. These errors weren't here a minute ago. Why are they here now? Huh, that's weird. OmniSharp must just be slow. Okay, so what I want to look at this edge definition. Here we go. There we go. Okay, so we have an executor, which is this execute. I love this. I love this abstract class. Executor-ish. Are you an executor? No, I'm an executor-ish. I've never seen ish used to name in a class name before. Okay, so we have bool, which okay, so there's an overload that just takes a true false to indicate if it's idempotent. Create conditional func. That's an internal static, and where does this get referenced? Add edges. Create conditional func. Here we go. This is what we're looking for. Condition, an optional predicate that determines whether the edge should be followed based on the input. If set to true, adding the same edge multiple times will be a no-op rather than an error. If null, the edge is always activated when the source sends. Okay. So what is the signature? Func t bool. So this is the signature we're looking for right here. I guess T could be anything though, right? I mean, that's based on their sample code. T could be anything. It could be that, and that's why they're using object, I think. Well, that's not what I wanted to put there. So this is a function. Can I'm guessing I can define this inline, right? I can say but I think this needs to be like object. And then these need names. So it's data and condition or expected. What am I doing wrong? I'm doing something wrong here. Do I have one too many paren? Oh, I think I know why. I have one too many sets of parentheses, I think. Okay, so somebody's still not happy. Cannot convert lambda expression to type bool because it is not a delegate type. Oh, so this needs to be a delegate. It can't be a lambda. Can not convert lambda to delegate type. Oh, this, so, okay. This, it needs to return this. It needs to return a function. That's what I'm doing wrong. So you've got something like this. I probably don't want to do this in line because this looks very ugly. But this is what I need to do, right? I need to return a func that has the right signature. Okay, let's just try to create an actual delegate with the right signature. How about we do that, Steven? Instead of trying to force this to work. Excuse me. I'm okay. I'm not understanding how to do this. So let's get there. Let's just copy and paste what they did. Let's see. Can I take this guy? RS is like my cheerleader this morning. Appreciate you, man. Oh, I know what I was fucking up. I was fucking up the signature here. So this should actually be, this should be, hey, I've got some object, which is a result. And if result is string, and yeah, we can just basically do that. There we go. There we go. I was making that way more complicated than it needed to be. So what we need to do then is our editor needs to return a result object. So we need to, let's implement our own result pattern. So let's make a new, what do you want to call this? Utilities, shared, common. Let's do common. A result.cs. Hello, Lucas. I don't know what you were trying to type in my terminal there. Are you trying to inject code into my stream chat? What the hell are you doing, man? Let's see. So we need a new class, right? This should be a class. Yeah, it should be a class. It's going to have behavior and stuff. Okay, so, and it could be internal. Internal, none of this is all in a console app, so none of this needs to be public, really. So internal class result. And then a result's always going to have typically two properties. You're usually going to have a bool, and most people call it like is success. And that's just going to have a getter. And then most people call public bool is failure, and that's just the opposite of success, basically. And then we're going to have a public. I'm actually not going to use a string. I'm actually just going to use an exception, I think. Because I can always get the string from the message of the exception. So I think I'm just going to have exception, and I'm going to call this an error, like that. It could be nullable. Although it's not really ever going to be. It's either populated or it's not. And if you try to access it when it's not populated, you're going to get an exception. And then we're going to have a protected constructor, which is going to be Copilot stop. I know there's packages I could use for this, but sometimes it's just fun to implement these things yourself. That's part of the fun of coding. So then we'll have a bool is success with a exception. We also need a value prop too. We need a value. Yeah, we need values like public t value. And we need to take that in. So we'll say t value. This has a type parameter t. It does not like my syntax there. Oh, do I need to put this on the actual result object? There we go. You lurking? Is that what that command is for, RS lurk? Hey, what's up, Wilo Gamer Pro? How are you doing? Virtuoso, is it C#? It is C#, which is why we need the results pattern, because it does. The idea of one thing being two things doesn't exist. So that's why we're. Well, it may exist. Actually, they're trying to bring discriminated unions to C#. C# it's not quite that, but it's sort of that. But I think in C# 14 they're bringing it. It's kind of odd. I've watched a couple videos on the feature. So this is basically what it'll look like from a syntax perspective, right? And then you can pattern match against it, which is kind of cool. Like this is, I can see this being really useful for API development like this. Strongly typed response types and one union type to represent it. A lot of people use an API response aggregate for their API clients, but most of them implement this type of a pattern where they take in some sort of generic value argument. But just having this baked in would be really nice. People have been crying for this functionality in C# for like 4 or 5 years now. And it makes sense, especially with all the pattern matching that's in C# now. Having a discriminated union would be really, really cool. Hey, Stefan, how are you? Virtuoso, do you work in a corporation or only on YouTube? I do. No, I work for a living. I'm a 32-year-old dad of two. My wife works part-time, but I'm the primary earner in our house, and so you can find me on LinkedIn. If you go to linkedin.stephenfreeborn.com, that'll redirect you to my LinkedIn page, and you're welcome to connect with me there. And if you want to just kind of like creep on my professional history, my day job is I work as a quality engineer. So I do manual and automated testing for a SaaS product. But then in my free time, I like to play a developer on YouTube and build software. I don't know if I'll ever. I don't know. I mean, I think it would be fun to be a production, a line production developer or engineer, whatever you want to call them. So maybe at some point in my career, I'll work on building functionalities and features in like a proper like employment, like proper job. Because right now all the code I write professionally is mostly test code, like writing tests. But right now I'm really happy with my gig. I like where I work. I like the challenge of it. Our code base is super old and super complicated and millions of lines, and so even writing tests for it is quite a challenge. And our UI, our web application is very complex. So writing end-to-end tests for it is quite a challenge. But yeah, maybe someday I'll decide to change my focus. But I like quality engineering. Chuck, damn, I tried learning quality engineering. I don't know how to start. So I think it largely depends on the specific like domain you're in. Like if the thing you're trying to test is a web application, obviously like end-to-end testing is usually a good place to start. A lot of people start by learning Playwright or Selenium. Obviously you need to start by learning a language, but a lot of people start by learning some sort of browser automation. And then once you get comfortable with a language, if you can get comfortable with a language that the company implements their production code in, then you can start to get comfortable with actually writing unit tests and integration tests for whatever language or framework they're using to actually implement their software. And then you can decide to kind of move down the stack in your ability to contribute from a code perspective. I mean, a lot of quality engineering is also doing manual testing and setting up systems to help facilitate manual and automated testing. But from a code perspective, yeah, you want to learn how to code first, and then you want to try to figure out how difficult it is to start contributing. Usually it's a lot easier to start contributing from the outside in, from a quality team, like especially if your devs aren't already writing tests. And then you can sort of, as you can try to add value with automation from like from the external, you can start to make a case for like, we should also try to add automated testing further down the stack, further down the layers. Stefan, yesterday I was in the gym solo, found some dude to spot me. Hey man, that's gym life, right? That's gym bros. We got each other's back. You need a spot? For sure. I've never told somebody I couldn't spot them if they've asked for a spot. Gun, sorry, gotta go. See you later, Steven. See you, Gun. Have a good day, man. I hope your day's not full of meetings. I hope you have a wonderful Friday. Virtuoso. See, I've worked as a marketing specialist, basically managed a bunch of CRMs along with third-party tool integrations. Very cool. Yeah, that sounds like a great job. Now I'm not sure, should I go to pure coding or not? I don't think you have to. I don't think you have to do one or the other, right? It sounds like maybe being able to code could add value to what you're already doing. So maybe there's a case to be made that you have a special set of skills or a unique blend of skills where you understand that CRM really well. You understand how to connect it to other sources of data, right? Maybe using like no code or low code tools, and maybe you can also code, right? So I think in a lot of cases, especially in enterprise environments, actually building bespoke solutions in code is actually pretty challenging because big companies have a lot of rules around how things should be built, where they're deployed, how they're hosted. There's a lot of legality, right, around data, around software nowadays in big companies. And so it's almost like big companies, if they can, will tend towards using something that somebody's already built, right? Some sort of SaaS solution, some sort of no code or low code solution. So I feel like if you have knowledge already on that side of the house, maybe it's worth adding, the ability to write some Python or the ability to write some JavaScript to your existing skill set. And if you find through learning JavaScript or learning Python that you really, really enjoy it, well, you can always pursue that further. But it may be just something that you have in your back pocket that's like, hey, I know how to integrate these systems, but if there's ever a case where there's not something out of the box that we can use to integrate, I could always write it, or not me, but you know what I mean? Like you could have that in your back pocket of like, yeah, if I need to write a bespoke integration, I can do that. I think a lot of people underestimate just how difficult it is to build, deploy, and maintain custom software at large enterprises. It's not a trivial thing, right? Even just writing a small script that moves data between some system and a data warehouse usually has a whole project around it, right? You got a team of people, you got all these different approvals you have to go through, you got to figure out where you're going to host it, you got to make sure it's done, the script's deployed securely. Like I've even seen some companies that require you to you have to once you put the script wherever it's going to run, like your cron job script that's going to do your data migration or move your data around, your ETL job, they'll require you to hash the script. And then before you run the script, you have to compare the hashes to validate that the script hasn't been altered in some way since it was last run. I mean, it's way more complex than what you see people on the YouTubes doing, or the way I think people tend to portray things. Like just enterprise corporate world is just a whole different beast. And it sounds like you probably know that from your gig. You probably have a lot of hoops to jump through. Stefan, I don't know if you saw the message, but he didn't let go of my PR. I hit my PR, but he didn't let go of the bar. So now it's the same as if I didn't do it. Oh, like you feel like he helped you? Is that what you're saying? Stefan, doesn't count. Stefan, you really got to get rid of these chat filters. No, I see your messages. Sorry, man. I was deep down a thought. No, I see your messages, but like if he was just like, do you feel like he was actually helping? I mean, you can tell when someone's like, versus them just lightly touching the bar versus them actually lifting it up. So maybe you're being a little bit too strict with your rules there. Mukil Max. I only know HTML. I'm 16, by the way. Yeah, no worries, Mukil Max. I didn't even know what HTML was when I was 16. When I was 16, the only thing I cared about was football. That was about the only thing I cared about. Football and my girlfriend, who is now my wife. Those are about the only things that were very important to me at that point. I was wholly focused on how could I turn football into a college career. So you're way ahead of me, Max. Manish, hey, Steven, this is a good time for coming live. I can watch you on this time easily. Well, that's good to hear, Manish. I actually, I kind of did like a 180 flip with my whole stream schedule. I was streaming like for an hour in the mornings, like my time, it was like 10 o'clock and then 10 in the morning. And then I was streaming like for an hour over lunch at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which was fine. That's worked for the last 9 months or so. But it was over the weekend, I was thinking, it'd be nice if I could get like longer streams with more dedicated time where I didn't feel like I was in a rush, or I didn't feel like right as I got ramped up, writing code, I had to then stop. So my solution to that was to get up at 4 a.m. and stream till about 7 a.m. when my kids get up, and call that my stream schedule. So far this week, I've done it every day. And I like it. I've enjoyed it. I am tired by the end of the day, but you know, sacrifices. He said that I did it alone, but I felt like he helped me in the bottom part a tiny bit. Well, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. If you don't want to count it, but you can always go back to the gym now and try again. I mean, everybody knows when you spot someone on a PR, you let go of the bar. I mean, my approach to spotting someone on a bar is always, I always start with vertical hands on the bar, like bar between my thumb and my index. That's where I start, and I just kind of guide the bar. I don't ever let go of it, like I never back my hands away, but like I start with that position because if they start to struggle, it's very easy in that position, it's very clear that I'm not helping a whole lot. It's difficult to provide much effort. And then if I need to help, it's very easy to just, you know what I mean? It's very easy to flip my hands and actually take over if I need to. Manish, oh, that's great. All the best for the time. Well, I'm glad you're here, Manish, and I'm glad these stream times work out for you, man. Stefan, but now I got to peak for it again. Well, all the you know, more reps, right? It's like Jocko Willink. Jocko Willink just says good. You know, when something goes wrong, good. I got more opportunities to get better. But I do understand how you would be frustrated by that. Also, Stefan is one of our illustrious YouTube members. So thank you very much, Stefan, for being a member. Appreciate you. And don't worry, I will find this guy that robbed you of your PR, and I will tell him. I will tell him what he's done. What was the interaction like after you got up from the bench? Were you like, thanks, man? Did you try to play it off like you weren't pissed, or were you very clearly, evidently upset? Just I've been in those moments in a gym, you know, where you're trying to be cool because everyone's got to keep like, you know, most of the time when you work out in a gym, you see the same group of people every day. So it's like I don't want to be an asshole because we're gonna see each other again. But I was just like, bro, what the fuck? Manish, I have one question regarding a product or building a product which verifies subscriptions using product keys. Are there ways for encrypting and decrypting products which I will be able to build with specific length of characters? Are there ways for encrypting and decrypting products which I will be able to build with specific lengths of characters? I'm not sure I know what you're getting at, Manish. So basically you're gonna have people buy something, some product, and then as part of that flow, you're gonna send them a key, I'm guessing, right? This is a key that's tied to their user, like you must have some user information stored somewhere. Like Windows product key have 25 character length to verify if product key is genuine. Oh, well, why can't you just store the product keys that you issue? Why do you need to verify based on the length? Because that's what I'm thinking is if you're giving out keys, just persist the keys along with the user's information. So if somebody gives you a key, you can check that it's a valid key that your system issued, right? And then you could also make sure that like they're the person they say they are, that somebody didn't get their key. I don't know if I would actually take the approach of just basing a key's validity or genuineness off of a length. You know? Stephen, weird thing is he spotted me good on the lift before. I guess he just got scared or something. Well, I mean, that's fair. Who knows? Maybe he'd never spotted someone under that much weight before, you know? So he could have just panicked. I mean, to be fair, like that, those can be kind of dangerous, stressful situations that we voluntarily put ourselves in. You know, having 300 pounds, you know, having 315 on a bar above your chest is, nobody wants to see you drop that on yourself. Manish, I just want to encrypt JSON data so user can verify product details even if they are offline. Huh. So you're going to encrypt the data, and then so the encrypted data is stored offline on the user's machine? Huh. Yeah, I'm not sure. Manish, if you want to join our Discord, I'm not sure I totally understand the whole picture. And so I'm not sure I can give a good thought, or any thought I do give you. If you join our Discord, discord.stevenfreeboard.com, we could have a longer, more maybe in-depth conversation on it. I'm guessing there's a way to accomplish what it is you're trying to accomplish, but I'm not sure I'm 100% clear on what you're trying to do. But I would love to. And I'm sure some other people in my Discord would love to give some input or feedback if you're open. You're welcome to continue to chat here about it. It seems like. Okay, I'm joining. Oh yeah, awesome, Manish. Yeah, I'll preview once you join. I'll preview there. Not that like you're doing a bad job of explaining. It's probably far more of a me issue that I can't understand the context. So it's, you know, I don't want you to feel like you're doing something wrong. It's not you. It's me. It's not you. It's me. I promise. Yeah. Have a good walk, Stefan. Be careful out there. Hi, what type of chatbot is being built? So it's not a chatbot. It's basically going to be some sort of agent that helps me not create content, but at least draft content for my blog, right? So imagine I can do something like where I do like I run my console app, and it's basically a somewhat of a little bit of a chat interaction initially, where I'm basically like communicating what my idea is for the blog. Roughly, right? Maybe I take like a blog, like a post on Blue Sky and put it in there, or maybe I take like a transcription from a particular YouTube video that I've made or something and put it in there. And then the idea is that this tool that I'm building will, with the aid of a large language model, will help me iterate from 3 sentences to maybe like 4 or 5 flushed out paragraphs that I can then whittle down into my tone, my voice, and make sure it's what I wanted to really communicate. But basically trying to solve that blank page problem where you start with zero, you start with a blank page, you've got nothing but an idea, and you need to go to a first draft. That always takes the longest, and it's the biggest hurdle to overcome. And so I'm hoping maybe with this tool that will help encourage me to do more posting on my blog. The other reason we're building this is because I wanted to learn this new library that Microsoft dropped called the Agent Framework. They published this, or they released it last week, and it looks very cool, and I'd like to understand it more. So we're trying to build something with it. Hello, Daweed. Good to see you. I think I said your name right, Daweed or David. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce it. Butterscotch. Me, after 100 years, still waiting for horizontal streams. Just came to say hi. Gotta go have a lecture in 15 minutes. Hello, Butterscotch. Good to see you, man. Actually, what's kind of crazy, Manish, I just approved your Discord application, so you're in, man. We can definitely talk in there. If you want to just message me, or you want to post it maybe in the coding channel, we have a coding channel. That's probably a pretty good place for people to jump in and offer Offer input. Butterscotch. What I was going to say is, so YouTube, horizontal and vertical stream. Hold on, YouTube stream multiple formats. They just posted a blog in September. Yeah, right here. They're actually, so Butterscotch, just you wait. I'm hoping I get access to this at some point, but they're gonna allow creators here on YouTube to do multi-format streaming, kind of like what TikTok does, where you can send a vertical and a horizontal layout. So the time is coming, Butterscotch. We just have to be patient. Hang in there. Let's see. Mahamza, I think is how you say your name. What language is this? This is C#. This is C#. C# is kind of my preferred language. If I'm going to build something and I can build it in C#, that's typically what I'm going to reach for. Doesn't mean, doesn't mean what I want to say. Doesn't mean it's the only language or always the best language for what I want to build. But if it fits, then I'll use it. I also like TypeScript. I know Python. I don't care for it, but I'll write it if I have to. JavaScript, obviously, if you know TypeScript, you know JavaScript. Even if you don't know that you do. And then I've been trying to learn Go. That's the new language I've been trying to pick up. I'm going to try to use Go to do advent of code. So if you come to my stream in the month of December, you'll probably find me doing a lot of Go. Ron, when are we going to start? You mean when are we going to start building? Well, we've started. This is basically what happens during one of my streams, Maran. If you are interested in a stream that's like uber productive, where the guy's just like hammering out thousands of lines of code, it's not my stream. Because I get distracted. I want to talk to you guys. I have to get up and get coffee every so often. Yeah, so let's see. If success and exception is not null, then we will throw, and if is success is false and value is not null, then we will also throw. Otherwise, we will set these. We will set is success to success. We will set value to value, and we will set error to Whoops. Would help if I knew how to write. Oh yeah, this also should be error. I realize that I'm representing an error with an exception type, but since exceptions is built in, I don't want to have to create my own error type. We'll say a failed result cannot have a value. So I guess I should say if it's false and value is not null. No, I guess I'm going to handle these. This is complaining because I like to do is false and it doesn't like that. Remove redundant equality. I'm turning that off. IDE 100. I don't really like the bang operator. So most people would write this. Most people would write this statement like this. They would say not success. I don't like that. I find it's way too easy for me to read this sentence and miss that exclamation point, to overlook it. So I much prefer just being very explicit and saying is false or is equal to false. I know some people think that's ugly. Like, I've had people comment on PRs before and be like, why in God's name would you ever do this? Yeah, but I just prefer the explicitness of it. So we'll come down here and we'll type .NET diagnostic .severity equals none. And I think I have to restart my... I think I have to restart the LSP for that to take effect. LSP restart OmniSharp. Butterscotch, YouTube is going to drop that feature. Yeah, they're going to release it. They're already releasing it, so it's being slowly rolled out to creators. My name is David. It's just Polish way of writing it. Oh, very cool. You're from Poland? Awesome. Yeah, how's Poland? You guys are kind of in a little bit of a political snafu with all the stuff happening with Ukraine, Russia, the NATO alliance. Yeah, it's kind of a crazy time to live in Poland, huh? Lots going on. Mehran, what tool is this? This is NeoVim is the editor I'm using. I'm guessing that's what you're talking about, Mehran, but this is NeoVim. Butterscotch, I'm kind of started hating Python now. Wanted to build a Lexer for our university's own cryptic language and ended up building it in Go. Building a Lexer is damn tiring. So I've never implemented anything like that. I've never implemented a Lexer, a parser. I've never implemented a compiler, or like a linker, I guess is another piece of the puzzle that you could try to implement. I've never done anything like that. Maybe that's a side quest I need to go on at some point. Hello, Lamp. Lamp, every time I see you in my chat, I always think that I always think of that movie Anchorman. Ron Burgundy. I don't know if you know that movie with Will Ferrell, but there's a scene in it where Steve Carell, he plays one of the he's like the sportscaster for their team, and there's a scene where he's like, I love Lamp. And so every time I see your name, I think of that movie. Manish, C# can have capital letters in error because Golang gives squiggly line for making correction that no capital letters and no punctuation in error string. Yeah. That must be, maybe that's a stylistic thing in Go, or maybe a formatting rule in Go. But yeah, you can for sure put whatever arbitrary message you want in an exception message. Yeah. I actually think I want to add a couple different checks here. So if it is a success, well, I guess value can be null. Like, you could pass in a null value. So we'll say if is success and error is not null, meaning you gave us a successful result, but then you tried to also set the error, we'll say throw new invalid operation exception. A successful result can not have an error. Actually, let's do this. Name of. This is like one of my favorite C# features. Cannot have an name of error. I don't know. Should be invalid operation exception or should be invalid argument exception? It almost feels like it should be name of value. Should almost be like these are actually invalid arguments. Okay, then we need some actual methods to actually call that protected member. Actually, this can be private for now because let's make this an internal sealed class. And we'll make this private, since I don't intend to have multiple errors. we'll say, let's see, public static results success. And if that is successful, then we'll do new results. And we actually need a type here, don't we? Type T. Type T. I guess that should be. Does it not like the type there? Why does it? New result of, what is it? We want true, and then the value, and then null. Use new, that's fine. But why is this yeah, there we go. There we go. And then we'll also have a public static success failure. Failure or fail. I think failure. Which will also return a result of T. In this case, we don't need that, and we can just say new false null oh, and then we need the error, so exception cannot convert from null to what have I done wrong here? I've done something wrong here with the generics. Also, I realize my thing's at the bottom of the screen. Hold on, let me move that. Hey, thanks for the sub, man. I appreciate you. I'm back, but I'm gonna go gym now. Okay, see you, Stephen. Have fun at gym. We go gym now. I like that. See you, Butterscotch. Sorry if I missed you if you're already gone. Let's see, Moran. Not the Vim, but the other tool that looks like the task manager, which shows CPU. Oh, you're talking about this guy right here? This guy, this process monitor. So this is, so I'm on a Windows machine. I don't develop on a Linux machine. And this is a tool called, so on Linux, they have, Linux and Mac, they have Top or BTop, I think is another popular one. Not the Korean rapper. Yeah, Top. And so there's a guy on GitHub, I don't actually know this gentleman, but he wrote a tool called Bottom. And for the longest time, until someone pointed it out on stream, I didn't really realize it was a play on words. But this is a cross-platform process system monitor, kind of in the same vein, but it works on Windows and Linux and Mac. So I pretty much use this on all my different machines because I kind of have machines that span all those operating systems. So having something that's just the common for me is nice. And I'll put a link to this in the chat. But if you just search GitHub for Bottom, you should find it. It's a very nice tool. Let's see, David. Yes, we had some small drone incursion recently, but they were not armed. I feel pretty safe here. After all, we are in NATO and have U.S. support. Yeah, I mean all NATO countries, right? Despite what President Trump says, I think the vast majority of Americans value the NATO alliance and what that alliance has meant to the Western world since the end of World War II. It's unfortunate that the current administration isn't super positive about that alliance, but hopefully that will only last for another couple of years. But yeah, I can only imagine just the tension there could be where you are now. But agreed, yeah, feeling safe is always a positive. Lamp. Now it's 1 p.m. for me. Well, Lamp, it is 6 a.m. for me where I am. Joyal. Hey, Steph. Hello, Joyal. How are you? Good to see you, man. Shivam, you look great today. Well, I appreciate that, Shivam. I also like the green check mark in your username. At first, I thought that was a part of your message, but now I see it's part of your username. Joel, doing more projects is better to become a good programmer or solving more problems? Well, ideally, they're the same thing, you know? Granted, I know when you're doing a project, usually, or sometimes when you're doing a project because you're solving something that's already been solved, you know? Like you're rebuilding a clone of GitHub or Twitter or whatever. So I think I kind of understand the distinction you're making. In my opinion, if you can try to combine those things, that's the best, right? So, like for example, this project that I'm building, my problem is I like to write. However, I have a 40-hour week job. I have 2 kids. I have a wife. I like to make YouTube content. I like to make videos, but I also like to write. However, writing oftentimes requires long stretches of uninterrupted times in order to go from the blank page to something flushed out and well thought out. So that's a problem I have. How do I create more time? I can't. So if I had money, I would probably hire somebody. Like I'd hire an intern, pay him $50 to draft blog posts for me, and then I would review them, edit them, and post them. Like give them an idea, go off, run with it. Kind of like my own personal ghostwriter. Lots of people do this, right? Lots of books are written this way. I can't afford that though. I don't have money to hire an employee. So, can I use my skills as a programmer to solve that problem? Can I use my knowledge of generative AI to solve that problem? So I'm building a project that solves a real problem that I have and I understand, and can communicate how it solves that. So I think if you can combine those two activities, solving problems and doing projects, that's ideal, in my opinion. Shivam, I believe you're going to do something great soon. I wish you all the best. Well, Shivam, that is a very nice message. Thank you for stopping by to leave a kind word. Shivam, is 4:33 p.m. for me here. It is 6:05 a.m. for me here. Time zones are a weird thing. It's like y'all are time traveling. So in a few hours, you'll be in the future, right? So in 6 hours or so, no, 8 hours, you'll already have started your Saturday, and I'll still be finishing my Friday, I think. Lamp, you should also look above too. I've replied to the movie thing, by the way. Oh, yeah, sorry, I missed that. Did I miss your response? I must have missed it, man. I don't see it. Oh, you said, oh, I don't, but I've seen the meme though. Oh yes, the meme is great, but the movie is better. You should watch the movie. David, what's the added value from just using Chat GPT in your project? So I think the added value is, for me personally, if I want to use Gemini, like I pay for Gemini and I pay for Copilot. So what David's saying is, hey, you could just open up Gemini, right? And type your idea in there, and then have it, basically you could just do this all manually, like you interact with the LLM. I think the benefit here is I can basically have sort of a defined workflow with prompts that I've already pre-authored, right? So it's kind of like the same of like why you would automate anything. It's just so that you can basically like hit a button, right, with some input, and then it just runs, right? And it's much more consistent. We're using the same prompts every time, right? I don't have to remember to copy and paste those. So it's more of like a save me time thing. And then there's even the possibility that then I could also hook this up I could extend the automation, right? So like every time I post to Blue Sky, have this tool take that post and try to flush out a blog for me to review, right? And stick that in my Google Drive or stick that somewhere on my local machine. So I think there's value in just, for me personally, there's value in it just being automated, where I don't have to sit there and like, oh, today I need to work with ChatGPT or Gemini to draft a blog. Let me open up my window and right? Where I could just, here's my first 3 thoughts, go, right? Go off, run through the different prompts that I've already pre-authored, pass them around, edit it, refine it, critique it into my style and tone, right? And then dump it out. And I'll review it when I get to it. So I think it's more of an automation benefit, David, than it is like I'm doing something incredibly earth-shattering or groundbreaking. It's kind of like my Stream Shorts tool that I built. I don't think you were here when I was doing that, but I built this tool that basically, let me see if I can find a diagram of this tool. Because what I did with this tool, I could do manually too. So this is another good example where I've got too many drawings now. Let's see. Is this it? Here you go, this tool. So this is another content creator problem I had where I used generative AI to help me out. So a lot of big creators, like one of my favorite big YouTube creators is Tim the Tatman, right? He has a mod or an editor, I don't know what you want to call him. He has an employee named Whips who does a lot of his like content creation and admin tasks for him. So one of the strategies you could use to help obviously expand your audience or make content when you do live streams is you can take your live streams and you can take clips from them. Well, if you have an employee like Whips who can just remember to grab clips as moments happen during streams, that's awesome, right? My problem is I don't. I'm a one-man band. So I end up with these 1 to 2 hour long videos, and then a day goes by and I can't remember what the hell I said in a stream and what I would want to take and chop up into clips. So I built this tool called Stream Shorts that basically takes a video, a live stream video. It doesn't have to be a live stream video. It could be any video. Takes an MP4. It transcribes it, right? So I get the transcription. I use a language model called Whisper, or a machine learning model called Whisper. I guess it's a speech-to-text model. And I use that locally on my machine to transcribe the audio. So I use FFmpeg to extract the audio. I use Whisper to transcribe the audio. And then I stitch those transcriptions together. I send that to an LLM with a prompt, and I ask it to give me back pieces of the video that I could use for shorts content. And it's been working pretty well. I've been using it for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And man, it saved me a shit ton of time trying to create clips for my streams. But this is an example, again, David, of where every one of these steps I could do manually. But having a tool that's just a one command on the terminal, one command, give it a file and let it rip, is so much more convenient than having to do all this manually. So it's more of an automation thing and less of a I'm inventing some crazy new application that's going to change people's life. Lamp, am I weird for using Claude AI instead of Gemini? No, I think Claude's great. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Claude. The reason why I pay for Gemini, well, I pay for Copilot because, honestly, I pay for Copilot mainly because that was the first kind of real coding assistant AI product that hit the market, and I've just stayed with it. I think it's a great product. I love the team behind it. It integrates into VS Code really nice. Like, it integrates into GitHub where all my repos are. So it's well worth the $10 a month I pay. The reason I chose Gemini was because I already had a Google Drive subscription, and they sent me an offer for like the Gemini Pro or Gemini Plus subscription or whatever. And I was like, okay, so I'm already paying them $10 a month for the Google Drive, the storage, all that stuff. I'll just give them $10 more and just take all the Gemini functionality. I also think the Gemini model is nice because it's multimodal. It understands images. They also allow you to generate images, edit images, create video. So I think in terms of bang for your buck, I think the Gemini chat application has more value than Claude does at the moment. But I think Claude's a good product too. Rep Dare. Sup, everyone. What's happening? What's up, Rep? How are you? This is the first time I've seen you in my chat. Nothing really at the moment. We're just hold on. Did I not? Why can't this be null? And also this doesn't need to be null. This can just be T. Because if you pass us a null value, we're going to throw an exception when we create the result. And then, can I omit this? I've got to leave that in. Yeah. Why can't I do null of T? Because this is not nullable. That's why. And I think this needs to be nullable. Why can't I do null of T? Let's see. Generic C# nullable. Nullable type as a generic parameter possible. And I haven't been to Stack Overflow in forever. Hey, thanks, Auntie. I think that's how you say your name. Auntie, thanks for the subscription, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. If I could talk. Rep, what is you building, man? So I'm trying to learn about this new agent framework that Microsoft published. And I always feel like one of the best ways to learn a new library or new technologies is to really, obviously you should read the docs and you should go through some of the tutorials, which I did, but I feel like the best way to really own that information is to build something with it, and particularly if you can build something that is also useful, that's helpful as well. So I'm building basically an agent, or I guess agents. It's going to be one application that has multiple agents, which is really just an AI agent is just a way to organize tools and prompts that you would send to an LLM. And so I'm basically going to try to recreate this type of a workflow that, kind of as David pointed out, you could do this same sort of workflow in Gemini or Claude, right? You could just interact with the LLM. But I'd really like to have some sort of tool that just automates this all. And so we'll see. We'll see what comes up. The idea is to have, basically at the end of the day, be able to put an idea in and then to have it generate me kind of an initial draft blog post that sounds a lot like me, right? So I'm hoping I can use some of my existing blogs to help it understand what's the tone, what's the style that I use. And then my hope is I can take those drafts, I can review them, and actually, I hope that I can review them and whittle them down and refine them, because I'm not trying to create an AI slop generator. That's not my point here. It's just to try to make it easier to overcome the difficulty of starting from a blank page when you sit down to write something. That's the biggest challenge creatively with any endeavor, is I have nothing, and going from nothing to something is a big lift sometimes. Also, I just realized, one of the other projects I did this off stream, but I hadn't told you guys about this. I moved my blog, or I moved some of my applications that I had hosted locally to another machine, and I actually migrated my DNS from my existing provider to Cloudflare. So this is actually not up to date. There's actually a new blog post out But this currently is directing me to the app that's running on the wrong machine because of my host files. So let me edit my host file real quick. So I can actually delete this entry. So delete blog.stephenfreeborn.com. Yes, delete that. Okay, now if I go to this URL, there we go. Yeah, so I actually wrote a new blog post about this, about how I migrated from my existing provider to Cloudflare. I had to actually write a script to extract all the DNS records I had, and yeah, if you're interested in reading about that and how I used a new feature in .NET to do it, it's up on my blog. But yeah, that's what I'm building. Except for websites and Discord. Hold on, sorry, Lamp, I missed your message. So far, almost all my projects were Vibe coded, which is bad, and at the same time, I don't know enough Python, C# and stuff to actually make a real project. I don't think you should make that judgment about yourself that because you Vibe coded stuff, it's bad. It's not necessarily bad. You know, that if that's how you want to work and that's how you want to build things, you know, you do you. David, that's cool. Yeah, in this example, it's easy to see the value. So the LLM returns the matching script snippets with timestamps, so then you can easily find it, right? I don't find it. So what I do is the LLM. So I can actually show you an example of what the LLM outputs. So the LLM does output a structured response. So let's go to desktop. So the LLM does output a structured response. So this is the transcript, right? Or the final transcript. So I generate a bunch of tiny transcripts, and then I combine them into this file. This file gets sent along with a prompt to, right now it goes to the Gemini API. And I basically ask it to return a structured response that looks like this. That's a little small. But basically I ask it for a list of candidates, basically a list of potential clips that I could post that have a title, a description, and an explanation, right? So the idea here is this is supposed to help the LLM make good decisions by having to generate this metadata. And then it gives me the approximate start time and end time of the section that it's referring to. And then then all I do is I use FFmpeg to parse these timestamps and chop the video. So at the end of the day, I end up with a directory that has all the chopped up clips in it. And all I have to do is go through and watch them and take a peek and say, oh, I like that one. I don't like that one. That one's too long. That one's too short. It's probably, if it generates 10 candidates, I might post 3 or 4 of them, type of thing. So there's probably some work I could do on the prompt side of things to try to improve the results, but it's been, for a first draft, like, it's saved me a shit ton of time. Hey, thanks for the subscription, Don. I appreciate you, man. Lamp, if you don't know what I'm talking about, scroll up. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, I missed you. I keep getting distracted. Well, my friends told me it's bad, plus since of the recent accidents with my friends, which are no longer my friends due to harassment via Discord, kind of stopped me in my steps for it. Well, yeah, people harassing you should never tolerate that. So I'm sorry about that, but don't listen to your friends. Just because if you create things, whether they're vibe coded or not, you should be proud of the things you create. You took the time to think about them and to work on them. So I don't think you don't shit on yourself just because you don't do things the way somebody thinks you should do them. There are going to be people who earn lots of money and make careers out of being vibe coders. And if that's what you want to do, if that's how you want to spend your time, if that's the type of creator and builder you want to be, who am I to say, it's not right? Do I enjoy it? No, I don't particularly enjoy prompting my way through projects, but that doesn't mean other people can't do that. I think that's a big issue in the world today, where we have a really hard time holding two different things in our head at the same time, two contrary ideas at the same time. You know, it's possible that I cannot enjoy vibe coding, but that I'm totally fine and encouraging other people to do it who want to build but don't necessarily want to learn how to code, right? That's totally fine. It's like people who use no code tools or Bubble.io or whatever to build products. Like, you know, you can if you want to create things, you should create things. We need more creators in the world. You as the creator get to decide what those tools are going to be, whether it's code, whether it's an LLM. That's up to you. Okay, actually, I think I can redesign this class a little bit. So this is fine. We're going to take that out. We're going to use... We're going to use that. We're going to remove this. We're going to remove these. Because the way we've designed this class, these things should really never be null. And if they are null and you access them, we're going to throw an exception anyways. Possible null reference assignment. Why are you complaining about that? A non-nullable property error must contain a non-null. Oh, this is not null. Man, I really hate using that operator. But if we get down here, and this is all, if this logic is all correct, there really should be no chance where you're accessing a null exception. Hold on, let me think about this. Lamp, thanks for the motivation. My new PC had a broken motherboard, so we're trying to fix it. It was a kit we built, and right now I'm on my phone most of the time. Oh, that sucks, man. I'm sorry your motherboard broke. Hopefully you get a new one at some point. Obviously, if your phone's all you got, you know, you're limited, but that sucks. Rep, who do you work as? Who do you work as? I need to decide where to go study. I'm like between software engineering, cybersecurity, and freaking violin. So I'm very lost. And if I don't mean to laugh. I mean, learning the violin, studying the violin's fine. It just threw me off because you said software engineering, cybersecurity, and then violin. I really want advice from someone from it. So Rep, it's always difficult to give people advice without having like the full context of your life. So I guess what I'll do is I'll just kind of share with you the answer that I would give to my own son. So I have two sons, 9 and 7. They're in 4th and 2nd grade, and I always think about them when people ask me stuff like this. So first of all, to answer your first question, what do I do for work? I work as a quality engineer for a software company that makes a web SaaS product. That's what I do for work. And then obviously I do this content creation and YouTube and like to build stuff in my free time. As far as where you should go study, my advice would be you're trying to find an overlap between a few different things. You're trying to find an overlap between something you enjoy, something somebody will pay you for, right? And something you're good at. Now, if it's something you enjoy, nine times 9 times out of 10, getting good at it is just a byproduct. If you enjoy something, that typically means you want to do it a lot. And if you really enjoy it, typically means you will suffer through being crappy or sucky at something long enough to get good at it. So those two things typically will take care of themselves. Obviously, though, for any given skill, there's probably a ceiling, right? So let's say I really enjoyed basketball. There's a ceiling. I'm 5'9". No matter how good I get at basketball or how much I enjoy it, it's probably unlikely I'm ever going to reach a level at which somebody is willing to pay me enough money to where I could support a family or support the life that I would like to have for me and my family. So then that's where the something someone will pay you for comes in, right? And so you're trying to find the sweet spot, which is something you enjoy, something you're now good at, a skill, right? You're good at this thing, and it's valuable to other people, or you can leverage it in some way that somebody else finds value in. Those are that. So when you're thinking of software engineering, cybersecurity, violin, that's kind of the framework that I would try to evaluate those things. Like, first thing is, do I like it? Because if you don't like it, 9 times out of 10, you're probably not going to do it long enough or do it often enough to actually be good at it enough for someone to value it. So, do I like software engineering? Do I like cybersecurity? Do I like the violin? Then, once you kind of figure that out, then you have to start to calibrate, like, in my opinion, and I could be totally wrong, the odds of supporting yourself and your family with software engineering skills versus the violin, the software engineering skills are more likely to support you and your family, or the cybersecurity skills more than the violin. Doesn't mean it's not possible, right? You could be a professional musician; those exist. So that's where that's the context I would use, and that's what I would encourage my sons to do. Is to try to think of it in that way. If you can find synergy among those three things. And yes, I know I talk with my hands a lot, a lot. IRC, one of the friends that harassed me, left Discord because he hated Discord, but I'm pretty sure it's, yeah, that sucks, man. I'm sorry you got into it. Discord communities can be toxic like that, so I'm sorry about that, Lamp. Manish, I agree with you on this advice. Well, there you go. There you go. So I know everyone's life is unique. Everybody has unique circumstances, so I don't want to make blanket statements, but yeah, if you were my future 18-year-old son or 20-year-old son and you showed up at my door and like, Dad, I don't know what to do, man. I'm in college. I don't like what I'm studying. I can't figure out how I'm going to make a living. If that type of angst, that would be my advice. I might just ping my entire 200-member Discord to join your stream to support you. You're good. Well, you don't need to do that, Lamp. I'm definitely not in it for you to go and have to promote me on behalf of me. But yeah, if you want to encourage people to come over to the stream, that'd be great. That would be wonderful. Okay, so I think I'm going to redesign this class a little bit because this is not quite working the way I wanted it to. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to separate the value into its own thing. So we're just going to have a private result. Actually, let's make this protected because we're actually going to use some inheritance to properly represent this. So take our value. We're going to stick that here. We are going to remove, we're going to have result success. That's fine. We're going to stick this here. And we're going to say true and null. And we'll say this is nullable again. And we'll say this does not have a type, but it does take in an exception. And it will pass that. And what we need to make this nullable, in which case then we don't need to do the I mean it operator. That's how I refer to the bang operator in C#. it's the I mean it. Which is also kind of confusing because here it means one thing, it means not null, right? It's like, this is not null. But then if you put it up here, right, it means the inverse of this. Which I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. I don't know. Anywho, I don't care for doing this with expressions. So we'll do that. And then we just need to check the error. So we'll say if success and error, if is success and error is not null, then we'll throw. If success is false, I think that's the only check we need now. We just need to make sure if you're passing it, if it is successful and you've passed us an error, that's a bad option. But you can pass us it false. Oh no, I guess I do need to check for that, don't I? So I should say if is success is false. I know, I've been on this stupid class for like the last 30 minutes. RS lamp, prove it. Lamp, RS is trying to entice you to promote the stream. If success is false and error is null, we should say, well, we allowed it to be nullable, so. Which I don't think I want it to be nullable. I think I want people to have to provide me an error. If success is false. Yeah. I don't know what I want to do with that. I hate the nullability checks. I hate having to check for null, right? Like I should just be able to say if I should be able to just check is success or is failure, and that will tell me if there's an error or not. Saiba, is this Java language? No, this is C#, but a lot of people tell me Java and C# look a lot alike. So maybe that's why. Butterscotch, I think you need to add vim.scrolloff equals 100 in your config file. It will make sure your cursor remains at the center while scrolling. It will be helpful for people to see code clearly on mobiles. Butterscotch, that is a wonderful suggestion. I did not know that was something I could do. Let me do that right now while I have you here. So you're saying if I go to nvim config, I think I'm actually. I think I have let's see, git stash drop 0 git pull. KB, why do you need both success and failure? Can something be success and failure at the same time? No, it can't. And if you look at, if I go back, oh my goodness, I'm getting so distracted here. I keep switching. So KB, you don't. You only need the only reason I put these there is just for so that basically the is failure property is derived from is success. So it's purely syntactic sugar, meaning if you're in code and you want to check is success, you can do that, and if you want to write is failure, you can do that. It'll only ever be one. It's just merely a semantic, um, not semantic. It's merely syntactic sugar. That other property there is derived from the first one, so it'll always return the right value, right? Whatever state the result is in. But it's purely there for convenience sake. Which the only person that's probably going to use this code is me. So why am I doing that? I don't know, because it's nice to do that for yourself, right? It's like it's nice to it's nice to write code that you enjoy working with. Okay, so what did hold on, let me go back to Butterscotch. So he said write vim.scrolloff equals 100. Okay, so let's open this up. So this is something I'll probably put in Vim options, I think, right? So I'm guessing I should put this maybe under vim.opt. Is it under .opt Butterscotch in NeoVim? Would it be vim.opt.scrolloff equals 100? Let me just try that. Okay. Butterscotch, you guys, some people are new here, so you don't know this, but Butterscotch has kind of been my Vim master. You know how they have Zen masters? He's kind of been my Vim master for my Vim food journey. Every time he sees me doing something stupid, he calls me out on it, which I love. Not calls me out, but he helps me. He tries to coach me and point me and guide me to a better place, which I really appreciate him taking the time to do that. I'm sure there are times when he wants to like scream at the screen because of the way I navigate. But I'm only 10 months into my Vim journey. Okay, it takes like years to become a blue belt in BJJ. So give me time to achieve my next belt ranking in my Vim foo. Okay, so let's see what this does to the editing experience. So what you're saying is if I go to here, that's awesome. That's awesome. I actually, you know what? I prefer this Butterscotch from like, even if I wasn't on stream right now, I really prefer this. Just like having my eye line stay centered and not having to look down to the bottom of the file. I love that. Hold on. Oh, but then okay, so if you go down to the bottom, it stops. So if I scroll past that, there's nothing at the bottom, it'll just... Interesting. Okay, so that's what the scroll off property does. I like that. I think I like that. Although I think that I wish that it wouldn't let me... Like, I almost wish it would give me extra buffer at the bottom. Or extra buffer at the top. Vim... I've been completely distracted now from writing code, and now I'm gonna focus on how can I always keep my Vim cursor in the middle. Vim options scroll off. Okay, what does AI say? Scroll off sets a minimum number of screen lines to keep above and below the cursor, providing context. To use it, set scroll off equals numbers. A high value like 99 will keep the cursor centered, though this behavior may not persist perfectly at the very beginning or end of a file. Oh, okay, that's expected. Yeah, just press ZZ when yeah, exactly. That's the part that I don't remember to do that. I don't remember to, I forget that I get to the bottom and I'm working down here, and I should remember that, hey, when I get to the bottom, I need to ZZ. But I almost wish that behavior just... Is there a way I can add that? RS begins slow clapping. Hold on, what do we have going on here? Lamp sent the announcements in the silly announcements channel. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Lamp. I appreciate you doing that. Quantum quantified. Cool. Said hi. Hello, quantum. No, hello, quantified quantum. That's a tongue twister, man. I wish so. Butterscotch. If I don't know if you know if it's possible. I wish there was a way where whenever it detected that it didn't have 10 more lines, like right here, or 100 more lines or whatever, I wish it would just do what the ZZ command does and add extra space above and below the buffer. That would be cool. But I think I do like that. I think I do like the stick and the... I just don't remember to type ZZ. At this point, when I'm down here, I never remember to type ZZ. Wonder if the internet knows anything about keeping it centered. Keep your cursor centered on the screen. Centering with scroll off. Restore normal behavior. Enter 0. If you almost always prefer to have your cursor centered vertically on the screen, add this to your vimrc. So this is like a function that just continually forces your cursor to a specific place. I'm guessing if I Google NeoVim always center cursor, I'm guessing we can probably find some implementation. But that might distract from the true nature of the stream. Also, I realized it's 6:45 and I never went and refilled my coffee. You guys distracted me. I blame you. I blame chat. I don't know if it's possible, but I think it can be done through setting custom motions, but I won't recommend it as it might cause other motions to not function properly. Yeah, I guess that's the dangerous thing, right? That you start screwing with things a little bit too much and all of a sudden nothing behaves the way you'd like it to. Just sharing an idea that popped into mind with your active engagement. Maybe a Pomodoro stream could work well. Code, sesh, discuss, repeat. Yeah, that might be that. That would probably make for more productive streams, honestly. RS. I guess it depends on what your purpose of streaming is. Is your purpose of streaming to interact with others, or is your purpose of streaming to actually be productive and build something? And I think that's like two distinctly different things, because it's probably the special person that can have a conversation and also like code at the same time, right? Without there being a lot of stop, start, stop, start. So I just always feel like if you're gonna stream, right? Even if you're writing code, if you're gonna stream, the point of the stream is more about the interaction with you all and doing something with you all than it is about me being uber productive with the thing I want to build. Because if you wanted to be like uber productive and write a lot of code, you probably shouldn't do that on stream. You know what I mean? Like you probably should just, flip the music on, get a big tall glass of or big tall mug of coffee and just, hammer away at it. But I do like the idea. I've seen people do that with like reading streams, like read with me streams on TikTok, where they'll do like 20-minute sprints of reading, and then they'll chat for 5 or 10 minutes, and they'll do. So maybe that's something we experiment with. In no way do I think you need to change your format. Just toss. Oh no, hey man, I welcome all the feedback, all the ideas. You guys are very helpful. I appreciate it. Lamp. The idea is make a Discord bot that has a bunch of automation tools that you can use with your ShortMaker YT thing tool too. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, I mean, I have a Discord bot, so we just need to kind of extend that Discord bot's functionality. Like, I'd like to hook the Discord bot up to Gemini. I think that would be fun to do. Like, hook it up to like the free tier of Gemini. Obviously, at some point, we'll run out of requests, and then at that point, we'll just throttle it, and my bot will just always respond with the same message. Um, but but yeah, there's lots of things I think would be cool to do with the bot that I need more. I need more than 16 hours in the day, to be awake. I need to not have to sleep. That's the problem. If we could get rid of my body's requirement for sleep, sign me up. Sign me up. I think to solve this issue, I'm just gonna new up an exception like this. Oh, that's stupid. System.exception is not sufficiently specific. Also, I can actually just default this to new exception. Why does it think error is null here? Possible null reference assignment? No, it's not. Oh, I guess it is because I don't know that error isn't null. In which case, then I shouldn't do the default and I should check. Yeah, I should do this. This is false and error is null. Oh, OBS disconnected. Yep. No worries, Butterscotch. I've got about probably 9 more minutes. My kids should be up here in a little bit. They're off school today, actually. Canal, what language is this? This is C#. Some people tell me it looks like Java, but it's C#. And I really haven't gotten around to writing much code this morning. I've been hung up on how to represent this result pattern. You could do like a slash command to make the YouTube Shorts clips for you, maybe. That's the problem though, is that like it's having to remember to do those things. Like when you're in the middle of talking to somebody or you're in the middle of writing some code, it's like difficult to be like, yeah, clip that, right? As the creator, it's difficult. If you're a viewer, right? If you're an editor or a mod who's just sitting there watching and participating, it's much easier to be in the mindset of like, oh, that was a good moment, right? And I think that's why I said if I could just have a employee do this like Whips like does for Tim the Tap Man, that's what I would do, but I can't afford that, at this point. Polyphasic sleep plus isochronic frequencies plus coffee have kept me going much longer than most humans would ever desire. The polyphasic sleep, that's where like people will take like shorter 2-hour naps throughout the day, right? Polyphasic sleep, yeah. Multiple short naps throughout the day. Yes. Yep, I've heard of that. Yeah, I wonder if that would work for me. 20-minute naps every 4 hours. Well, I hate napping though. I always feel like I wake up from naps very grumpy. Anybody else have that experience? I just always feel super grumpy when I wake up from naps. Sign. Hey, is this good content? I do automation work, automation AI stuff. Is it gonna work or people gonna watch? I honestly don't know. Oh, you're asking me if you do automation and AI things, like if you create content around that, do I think people will want to watch? Is that what you're asking? Because if you're asking me if my content is good content, like obviously my answer is going to be like yes, or at least it's like it's. I don't think it's. I guess I would say I try my best, and then I just kind of let the audience just decide if it's good or bad, and then if it's bad, they can move on. If it's good, then they can stay. If you're asking me if you make automation and AI content, if people would be engaged with that, I don't see why not. I mean, there's people interested in all kinds of content, right? That's the beautiful thing about the internet. It's like whatever niche you like, whatever thing you enjoy, there's other people out there who enjoy that same stuff, you know? I never thought that people would enjoy hanging out with me on stream while I work through programming and coding issues because I don't know, I just didn't think that would be a thing. But I personally enjoy being a participant in other people's streams while they do that. So that's why I started doing it. It was because well, I enjoy watching other people do it. So maybe other people would enjoy hanging out with me while I do it. You know. Wake up grumpy means you napped into your REM cycle. Oh, so that means I napped too long, is what you're saying. I took too long of a nap. If I could, I would donate what is that, euro? For you to shout out my cat named Salma IG. Well, you don't need to donate. I would just say, hello, Salma. You know, I, I don't have to, you don't have to give me money. Everybody I'm sure here works very hard for their money, you know? You should keep a hold of it if you can. It's hard to get, man. I tell you what, money is hard to get. I don't know why this is saying. So if I say that the exception can be nullable, and then I'm checking with a null coalescent operator, and I'm setting error to error, and I'm allowing it to be that way, so I'm not checking. Why does result think that new protected member declared in... Oh, that's why. This needs to be private. I'm an idiot. I thought that was complaining about the nullability of the exception, but it was complaining that it was a protected type in a sealed class, which I should really read error messages more clearly. And this is complaining because yeah, yeah. So okay, I can fix all this. I can fix this. So here we go. Finally. I don't know why that. I think it took me a long time to figure that out because I was also trying to have a conversation in the middle of it. Okay, so now we're going to have some methods here. So we're going to have a static method for success. We're going to have a static method for failure. which is good. That's fine. And then we need a static. We need some way to. We're going to basically inherit from this guy, which means this can't be sealed. This has to be open for extension, for inheritance. We'll make this protected. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go down here and we're going to add another class. This is going to be our typed class, which I think Copilot kind of gets the idea of what we want to do. But I'm going to implement it myself. Well, that's weird. I think scrolloff is doing that. Is scrolloff doing that? Because every time I... Hold on. Let's disable Copilot again. So that's weird behavior. I've never seen that before in my NeoVim experience. So right now, if I'm in edit mode or if I'm in normal mode, I type ZZ and then I start to edit, it pushes me down. I don't know if Butterscotch is still here, but is that... Let me go to my, let's see, edit, nvim config. Is that the scroll off setting doing that? Because that's annoying. I don't like that. I mean, I like that it keeps my cursor centered, but I don't like that it forces me down after I've already recentered it. So if I go to the bottom and I type ZZ, yeah, I think that's what it was doing. That was what was doing it. Well, that sucks. Maybe Butterscotch knows a way to get around that. Okay, result T is going to inherit from result. And then we're going to hide this value. So we're going to say private read-only T of value. And then what we want to do is we want to say this also has a public property. And that public property derives its value from that backing field. But we want the backing field because we are going to have a getter. And you don't see very many people in C# actually implement logic in their getters anymore. Most people just use the auto properties and call it good. But you can do kind of some cool stuff with getters. So now we're going to do if is success. So this is the inherited property from the base result. So if I say is success is false, meaning, you know, this was a failed result object, this should throw an exception. So we should say throw new invalid operation exception. And we should say something like cannot access the value of a failed result. Check. We can do check name of error property for more details. Something like that. Otherwise, we'll return the backing field like this. And then we'll also need a setter. And the setter, all the setter is going to do is just, do we want a setter or do we want like a static, or maybe we want like a constructor with some static methods maybe? So what if we did protected. Yeah, protected. Internal result of type. Well, not of type. This is the constructor, so this is a protected internal constructor that takes a value, but it also takes a bool, which is success, and then it also takes a exception. And then this guy is going to be this guy needs to call the base constructor and pass in is success, and it needs to pass in the exception. And then down here, we can set the value, whatever value is. Make public type internal. Yes, it can be internal. And then we can add some more extension methods up here off of this type to basically create these typed results. Is what we can do next. See you, Manish. But try pushing an alert on Discord at least 1 hour or half hour before coming. I can schedule my lunch accordingly. Bye. Yeah, see you, Manish. I do try to post to Discord when I actually go live. But now that I'm trying to do these 4 a.m. streams, maybe I can just set up an event or a schedule or something. Now that I've tried to hone in on a specific time of the day, that could alert you guys about it. That might be helpful. But yeah, for sure, Manish. I'll try to stay on top of that. Wowie, sir, can I ask you something? Sure, you're welcome to ask me something. What do you want to know? Lamp, if you don't see my messages, by the way, check above. No, I see your messages. Yeah, sorry, I missed. What was the last one you sent me? I sent your, yeah, I called out your cat. And then you said, yay, I'm top 2. Oh, that's the experience thing, the YouTube engagement thing. Yeah, I see. I think I've seen all your messages. But yeah, what's up, Wowie? What's going on, man? What do you want to know? Okay, then we'll do public static result. Let's actually add a static result for failure that takes in a string, which would be the message, I guess. Error message. And then we could do return new false new exception error message. Why is that complaining? I don't like that diagnostic. This diagnostic actually doesn't let you use the generic exception type or like the highest level exception, the base exception, which I think is stupid. So we're going to turn that off. CA2201. Whoops. That's what I want to do. .NET diagnostic.ca2201.severity equals none. And then we'll go back to our results. And we have to restart LSP, restart OmniSharp. There we go. Also, it's 7:06. I just realized that. I just looked at my clock. So I'm going to go see if anybody... My kids are out of school today, so I actually don't know if they're sleeping in or what, but I'm going to go upstairs and see if anybody's awake yet. Let's see, I said I love cats and programming. Oh, nice. Very cool. Yeah, I'm not a big cat fan. I'm allergic to cats. I love dogs, though, and I like programming. I am... Also, am I a good fit for the mod team? I don't have a need for moderators at this point. My channel is so small, like my channel is so small that there's just not, I'm not overwhelmed with the need for like moderation or anything like that. And when I do have a need for it, I'm perfectly happy at this point doing it myself. But I've had, you're not the first person, Lamp, that's offered to help with mods. So if I do ever have a need for like people to help me do that type of stuff, I will most definitely put out a call for help. All right, I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish this class. I'm gonna finish implementing this class. I'm gonna wire it up to my workflow, and then I think I'm gonna call it. So probably another 15 or 20 minutes, and then I'll Okay, so now we need to do public static result of type T, which is going to be a success. And in this case, we're going to take in our T value, and we are going to return a new result that is typed to T, which is value, true, and null. Hey, Wigyo, thanks for the subscription, man. I appreciate you guys that do that. Use block body method, great. And then let's see, T. What doesn't it like about that? A type or namespace named T could not be found. Are you missing a using directive or an assembly? What doesn't it like about my generic? Oh, I gotta put this on the method. There we go. Okay, still doesn't like my null. Why doesn't it like my null here? Cannot convert null literal to non-nullable reference. Oh, that's because down here the signature is wrong. This can be nullable, which I might change my mind about, right? Like, why would you have a result that's failed but don't provide a exception? That seems weird. Also, if that's the case, we should just default this to null and not make you pass an exception. I'm getting too hung up on the. I can come back and figure that stuff out. I get so hung up on like the specifics of like the implementation to make it just right, you know, and it's like, it doesn't need to be just right. It just needs to be good enough at the moment. It's just code for me. I'm not making some library that I'm going to publish to 100,000 people. New results of type T, in which case this will be the default, and this will be false, and this will be the exception. That, and then we'll say, what doesn't it like about that? Possible no reference argument for parameter value. Okay, well, I think that I could actually do. I think I could actually do this. This is where C# is a little bit not quite the right language, right? Because the compiler doesn't know, or it can't tell that, hey, if it can't tell that this is always going to be, if T is set to the default, which if it's a reference type is going to be null. If it is set to null, which is the default, then for sure it's going to throw an operation exception because the isSuccess property is going to be false, right? So this is where it's like we're trying to represent something that's kind of difficult to represent with C# in its current state. Hopefully this isn't an issue when they come out with the discriminated unions. It won't be an issue anymore, but for now this is still kind of an issue. So then we're also going to have result T. This is basically the same thing. We're going to put that here, but instead of exception, we're going to take in a string, which is going to be the error message, and then we'll pass that down here. Say new exception error message, like that. And you know, actually, I can fix this really simply. So we can say error is not going to be nullable, and we can say this is this. And we can say, no, this is not null. this becomes well, no, we don't want to change all that code. We can just say, what we can do here is we can say leave that there, remove this guy, there we go, that's better. So it'll just be an empty exception. If they pass me a null exception, it'll just be an empty exception always, and then that way whenever you do access the exception, you don't have to ever worry about the exception being null. But what we probably should do is we probably should implement a getter here as well, similar to what we did for value, right? We should probably do something like this up here, where we say otherwise private read-only of exception. We'll have a backing field, private read-only of E. And we'll say if it is a success, we will return error. Or if it's not a success, we'll return error. And then we'll say cannot access the error of a successful result. Check the name of yeah, I guess that's fine. What's this guy complaining about? Oh, because I can't set this like that anymore. I have to do this now. Underscore error like that. All right, now everyone's happy, right? Oh, we need to make this default. Now everyone's happy. Okay, the whole point of that class, I know that took way too long to implement that thing. See you, RS. Have a good day, man. LOL chat live emoji. That took way too long to do that. Now though, we can come to our program.cs and we can say object result. We can say, actually, let's just say object data, and we'll say if data is result and then we can do this, and result dot is success is what we want. Okay, so the whole point of that is just to kind of level set what the hell we were doing all that time with that stupid result class. Is basically we want a way to have conditional edges, right? We want to be able to say, hey, the editor can send messages to the writer, right? It can direct things in the workflow to the writer when the data that's passed from the editor is a result type and that result has failed is actually what we want. So this would be is failed. That's what we want. So if that's true, then that means the editor the editor got the writer's input and said that's not good enough, you fail, so we're going to send you something back. And so the editor will pass some information back to the writer so that the writer can make the necessary critiques, which we haven't actually figured out what that data that it's going to pass is going to look like, but that's what we're going to do. And then this will be really nice to reuse for all the conditional edges. We can just worry about we don't have to worry about the specifics. We don't have to worry about the specific data that the editor is giving us back. We can just know that the data is going to be a result object, and the result can wrap the data that we want the writer to have. I think that will make for a nice experience. So there's a conditional edge, and then we're going to have one more edge which we'll implement at some point, but we're going to have one more edge that says add edge editor critic, right? And then we'll have an output from the critic. We haven't implemented the critic yet, but we will. The critic is basically, you might say, why have an editor and a critic? The critic is basically going to be the person that's looking at my the critic is going to function as the agent that's going to look at the output from the writer and the editor, is going to evaluate it for style and tone. How well does it match the style and tone of other writing that the human Steven has actually written? Whereas the editor is going to be just concerned with structure, grammar, spelling, that sort of thing. So we'll have another one that's like critic.from chat client. And I should say this, I don't know if this is all going to work. I still have to figure out like the prompts and everything, but this is conceptually what I had in my head when I started thinking about this idea. So do we have time? It's 7:20. I think we have time. Because my kids aren't actually going to school, so I don't need to run upstairs. They're not leaving for the day. Let's go up here. Let's make a new folder. Critique. I think that's how you spell that. And we'll do critic.cs. And then let's just copy our code this time instead of typing it all out. Copy pasta. And then we'll just change what we need to change. So, well, first of all, namespaces matter. So we'll do casper.console.critique. And then we'll go back. Let's make sure we have namespaces in all these places. Common, critique. This one needs a namespace. Casper.console.research. What are we in? Writer? No, we're an editor. So this is a new namespace. Edit. Okay, then we'll change the name here. So this is going to be a critic agent or a critic executor. Critic. This is going to be name of critic. It's going to return a critic. Let's see, message received. Yep, that's fine. And now we actually need, oops, in our writer, no, in our editor, this guy's not going to have any yield. This guy's not going to yield anything anymore. He's going to take in a string and pass back a string, at least at this point, which means this needs to be string. We'll just return the message for now after a little bit of a delay. So this is in these handle async calls. This is where we're actually going to talk to the LLM. That's where we're going to make the chat client talk to the LLM. But for now, we're just passing a message to make sure that everything's wired up properly. All right, let's try to see what this does. So this conditional edge shouldn't matter because right now we're not actually passing back a result from the editor. It's just a string, so this is gonna fail. So it's not, the editor is never gonna, it should never send to the writer because this predicate is always gonna be false at this point. But we'll work on changing that at another time. So let's say .NET run, and let's just make sure everything still works after we changed all that stuff. Source Casper. Yes. Oh, let's add a console.writeLine in there so that we can see how everything gets passed. Editor. Say console system.console.writeLine message. This is just such a fun library to work with, honestly. Let's see, editor. Especially this workflow API that they built. This is just a really nice experience. .NET run. I can just, there we go. So research gets it. Researcher passes to the writer. Writer passes it to the editor. The editor, if it's successful at editing, will send it to the critic. And theoretically, if the critic is successful, then the critic should send it. The critic gives the final thing back, which in this case is just the message that we're passing along. In which case, then I think what we need to do is, if we can actually add another conditional edge here, which is going to say, hey, the editor will normally go to the critic. That's fine. The critic, though, is going to have a conditional edge that says, hey, if you're the critic, you need to send it back to the writer if you receive a message that is of type result, right? Yeah. Hold on, it's easier for you to read, and I know it's easier for me to read on these small screens when we put stuff on new lines. So if data is result and result dot is failure, right? Because in the case of the editor and the critic, things can be successful or things cannot be successful. The editor can have feedback for the writer of things to fix, and so can the critic. So in which case, once it goes back to the writer and the writer makes changes, it will need to go back to the editor, and then the editor will send it back to, you know what I mean? Like, we'll just put it back into the loop. And this is how you can see you can build pretty cool workflows, because you're basically constructing these nodes, and then you're able to direct data passing between the nodes with these predicates. So that's very cool. I love this. All right, guys. I think that's gonna do it for me today. What is that? That's almost 3 hours. This is almost 3 hours. 3 hours and 8 minutes. That's a long stream for me. No, Lamp. I haven't been paying attention. Let me look. I get like 10 viewers per stream. I get a bunch of people chatting, eventually sometimes breaking the rules. Yeah, that sucks when you get kind of trolls into your stream. 10 viewers is a lot of people. I mean, the thing is, like, you can't compare yourself to like the Tim the Tapmans of the world who have 10,000 people. You know, I think what's important to remember is, like, right now YouTube is telling me I have 23 concurrent viewers. Imagine being in a room of 23 people. 23 people is a lot of people. Like, 10 people is a lot of people. Like, get in front of a room and give a presentation to 10 people, that's a lot of people, Lamp. So you should pat yourself on the back. That's pretty awesome. It's easy to lose sight of that, right? It's easy to lose sight of the fact that that's actually, like, a classroom of 23 or 30 or 40 or 50, you know, people, that's a sizable group. I dream of getting my own YouTube membership. I don't know why. Yeah, you should, man. YouTube memberships are great. I actually have 4 members now. It's pretty awesome. I did create a membership. It's like 99 cents. You can join it. You get some fun emojis that I put in the chat. So you can there's if you're a fan of Silicon Valley, there's emotional Jared. There is the smart emoji. There is mic drop emoji, which I like. I can pick 4 emojis to provide as part of my membership, and then I have a members only Discord channel that people can get into. If you connect your Discord and your YouTube account, then you'll just automatically get access to that members only channel in my Discord. Which if you're here and you want to join my Discord, you don't need to be a member to join my Discord. You can go to discord.cmfrequent.com. That's the best place to find me or anybody here in chat outside of stream. But yeah, the membership thing's very cool, you know. You know what? I got an idea. I'll stream on my YouTube TV and you watch it in the BGIG. I don't know. What? You want me to put your stream on in the background of my stream? That's weird. I'm probably not going to do that, Liam. But good luck with building your own YouTube channel. I think that's awesome that you want to do that. Did you try Gemini CLI? I have tried it. Do I have it on this machine? Let's see. I think I've just run it with the mpx command. Able read line. I have tried it. So mpx. Yeah, right here. There you go. It probably needs to be updated because I haven't actually used it in a while. The one I've been using, the one I used yesterday or the last few days has been the Copilot CLI, which is pretty cool. Lamp, 270 subs. Well, that's awesome, Lamp. Congratulations, man. I think that's great. It's more subs than I probably had. It took me at the beginning of this year. I've had this YouTube channel for 12 years. Yeah, 10 or 12 years, I think, at this point. Or maybe that's my other channel. I don't know. I've had this channel for a long time. At the beginning of this year, I had 21 subscribers or something like that, and over 500 plus videos. So, I don't know. I wouldn't get so caught up on the numbers myself. I mean, I make content because I enjoy it. It brings me energy. When I make content, I feel better about life. I feel energized to do other things, to make more things. I think if you get caught up on the views and the subs and blah blah blah, I don't know. I think it can kind of wear at you. You know, it can discourage you because you'll make something and you won't get the reaction you think you should, and then you'll be frustrated. Instead of just making something because you feel like you have something in you to say or something in you to offer or do, or you genuinely just want to hang out with other people on stream, I think that's a much better way to go about it, in my opinion. Yeah, so the Gemini CLI is very cool. So Gemini, it's funny, all of the agent CLIs, they all have the same GUI, right? So this is Gemini's. And then if you do Copilot, they all have the same GUI. I think it's funny that we all kind of agreed that like this is the UI. Like this is the UI we're gonna use, right? And you can type things here, and it streams in the message up above. Yeah, so I think these are very cool tools. I've been using them a lot. One of the things I use my AI, the AI tools I pay for, one of the things I use them quite a bit for is I use them a lot for documentation. Like writing readmes and things like that. I use them a lot for adding code comments, like doc comments, like XML comments in C# code or JS docs in TypeScript and JavaScript. I use them for writing commit messages, like, hey, look at the git diff of the current branch and write a good commit message. I use them for that quite a bit. Yeah, I haven't done too much with like I said, I'm not a big prompt coder. That's not really like I've not done a lot of like, hey, build me an API that does X, Y. I haven't done much of that. So, but I have tried them. I've got them installed. Looks like there's a new update. I'll update it. I think it's like I said, I'm not the AI maximalist and I'm not the AI minimalist. I'm somewhere in the middle. I try to write code and build things the way I find enjoyable. And sometimes that involves using AI tools, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah. Try Claude AI CLI. I don't know. Lamp, I will give you one piece of feedback. You don't have to end you don't you don't have to end your sentences with I don't know. You're allowed to say things and have opinions and thoughts and not have to you don't have to hedge what you say by ending sentences with like I don't know. You have to you can speak confidently. Your opinions and your thoughts are just as valid as anybody else's. The Groovy Banana. Now that's a username. What's up, dude? Nothing much. We're just drinking coffee, hanging out, writing some code. I am gonna jump though. I think at this point, I'm 30 minutes over my normal ending time, so we had a little bit of overtime here. I will. Let's see. We're heading into the weekend, and I don't really know what. I know I have a football game for my son on Saturday, so I don't really know what my stream schedule will be on the weekends. Sometimes I stream, sometimes I don't. What I can tell you is next week, looking at next week's stream if you guys are interested, I am traveling. I have a business trip I leave on Monday for Nashville, Tennessee, and then I fly back on Thursday. So I will probably stream Monday morning like normal, and I will definitely stream Friday morning like normal, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't know if I'll stream, and if I do stream, they'll probably be um different. I'm not really sure how to stream from the road. Like I don't think I can OBS stream on hotel Wi-Fi. That probably won't work. So I don't know. I wish I could give you more information, but if you don't see me much, if you don't see me much in the middle of next week, you know why. It's work related. Yeah, the group and if you can also get obviously if you sub, you can get notifications that way. But if you join the Discord, I try to post in my Discord whenever I go live. I have a Discord bot that will catch the stream going live and post a message in there. So that's probably the best way to make sure you get notified whenever I do go live. It's discord.stephenfreeborn.com. All right, folks. Well, I hope you guys have a great Friday. I hope you've had a good week. I hope it ends on a high note. And then I hope you have an even better weekend. And I'll either see you tomorrow and Sunday, or I won't. And I'll see you Monday. We'll play it by ear. All right, guys. Bye. Bye, y'all.